Where do I even begin with this season? Smallville Season 7. So, Smallville Season 7 is the continuation story of Superman and also the last season that we get to have with Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor. And that's all that. I don't know, guys. I really don't like the idea of one of my favorite actors from a show leaving a show forever and all such. But if the actor wanted to do other things, then that is totally awesome. I don't control his life. It's just it sucks. It doesn't really feel like Smallville anymore without Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor has had a really interesting storyline right from the beginning all the way until this very point. So I kind of expected in the last season that Lex Luthor is going to be a part of, I thought he was going to be the main villain of this season, which for the most part he kind of is. I mean, there are several villains that actually show up in this season, and it more or less makes it a mess. At the very beginning of this show, the very beginning of this season, you have Bizarro. Bizarro shows up for the very first time, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, the opposite Superman is here. Is he going to be the main villain of this season? No, he's around the first episode, and then he's in for a couple more episodes, and then he leaves in a very awkward situation. It is insanely awkward. I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, I wanted to see a little bit more of Bizarro. Bizarro is the opposite version of Superman. He absorbs green kryptonite, therefore he gets his powers that way, but he turns weak underneath the sun. And I wanted to see a whole lot more than that. And this is where Tom Welling's acting really does shine. I mean, when he is playing Clark Kent, you could tell it is Clark Kent, and when he's playing Bizarro, you could definitely tell that it is Bizarro. More or less, especially, but also when Bizarro is pretending to be Clark Kent for a couple of episodes, you could tell that it was a surprise reveal when it turned out to be Bizarro. But also, Bizarro has a lot lower voice. He's wearing dark clothing, and he is the evil version of Clark Kent, whereas you could tell with Clark Kent, he's in the sunlight, and you could tell that he is the good in all of this. I wanted to see a whole lot more of Bizarro than what I just got. But then also you have Brainiac that shows up for a couple of episodes to cause shenanigans, and then he disappears as well. And now we're dealing with the Lex Luthor storyline, his so-called wrap-up storyline, which delves a little bit deep into Lionel Luther's past. I mean, this is also Lionel Luther's more or less final season of Smallville, because he returns later on in the show. I'll explain that in a different review. But this Lionel Luther right now is kind of a I wouldn't say he'd be a good guy. I mean, he works with Clark Kent for several ways. He knows Clark's secret, and he promised to keep his secret, more or less that Jor-El chose him to be the vessel or something. But anyway, Lex Luthor digs into his father's past, and he finds out that his father was part of this secret society that is waiting for somebody called the Traveler. The Traveler being Clark Kent. One day he is going to show up, he's going to have superpowers, and he can either be the greatest hope for mankind, or he can cause Earth's major destruction. And so they hide this little box-like, puzzle-like, Scrabble-like thing that Lex Luthor is trying to get his hands on so he can get the power to finally control the Traveler. That's really what he's going for, and I kind of wish that they would go down the actual route that Lex Luthor is mostly known for. He's a money-making schemer that is trying to shape the world into what he wants. Lex Luthor believes that he is the one to lead the world into the next world. He's basically the similar version of General Zod from Krypton. General Zod wanting to lead Krypton into a brand new world, and that's what caused Krypton's major destruction in the end, which is kind of what the show is going down as. So I kind of expected for Lex Luthor to go down that route. He would become one of the leaders of the world, which he was trying to in the midst of the show and everything. And then he would be the one that would try to lead the world into a next greater world. And in his mind, Superman is just the guy that is standing in his way. I wanted to see that in the final season of Lex Luthor, but I never really got to see that. More or less, he's just trying to find this thing that can control Superman, and then The very next season, he's gone. No explanation. He's just, gone. I mean, this season is more of a kind of a it's a mess, really. I mean, I know they had a writer strike, was it? And they couldn't exactly get the season that they wanted to get down with. I mean, this season alone is like 20 episodes, so it's not exactly as long as several other seasons in the show. So you can kind of tell that they ran into problems. So, in other words, it shows. It shows that this season was not really going to be a good one. But another character that was introduced into this season was Kara. Kara is, well, Superman's cousin from Krypton. Her mission was to come to Earth, find Clark from his spaceship, raise him to the point where he'll finally be taken by his by his biological father's memories in the Fortress of Solitude to finally turn him into the man that he is going to become one day, aka Superman. However, she's been frozen all this time underneath this dam after she crash landed on Earth, and she finally awoke for the first time. And she still thinks that Clark Kent is an infant, but turns out, no, he is not an infant anymore. In fact, he's a whole lot older than you. Except she knows how to fly. She also knows how to do all these other superpowers that Clark Kent hasn't reached yet. And I'm thinking, man, if you're going to have the effects of Supergirl flying in this season, why can't you start helping Superman fly as well? I mean, it would be a whole lot more cheaper than doing the running effect that the show is mostly known for. I'm just saying, money-wise, there are better ways to save. I mean, granted, it'd be insanely expensive. It's a show about superheroes, of course. It's going to be expensive. But still, though, it's getting kind of annoying that we have to wait for so long to finally see Superman gain his full power of foresight. But another thing that this show also delves into is the final moments of Clark and Lana's relationship, which, in my point, it should have ended a long time ago. I kind of wanted to see the build-up at this point of Lois and Clark's relationship. Granted, they will do that down the road. They just need to wrap up Clark and Lana's relationship. And yeah, I kind of wish that it ended a whole lot longer ago. Because in one of the trials that Jor-El has to put Clark through is having his love interest on Earth finally have his superpowers. So Lana has his superpowers for an episode, and that was a whole lot of fun as it is. And this is where I kind of wish they brought in Bruce Wayne into the show. Bruce Wayne in the show could have had a whole lot of funny moments. I mean, it's Batman and Superman. I always wanted to see them on screen together, unlike the Batman versus Superman movie that we got. But with Lana Lang having superpowers and she and Clark shaking the Earth in, you know what I mean if you watch the season. They're having sex, but it would have made a very funny moment had they would have had Bruce Wayne in the show. I mean, there's Clark and Lana creating earthquakes with their lovemaking and making the whole country shake, and then they zoom all the way to Gotham City, where Bruce Wayne opens up a window in his nightgown and he says, "Hey, Clark, I know that you are going through some things, and I'm proud of you, man. But truthfully, some people like to stay up all night doing certain things. So can you keep it down right now? Some people here are trying to sleep. I know you can hear me." I mean, there could be funny moments like that, but the show never really delves into a lot of funny moments. I just kind of wish it did. It just more or less sticks to the drama and the story building that it's trying to go for. That and all the awkward relationships as well. But finally they get to wrap up the Clark and Lana relationship in a very, very awkward situation. I mean, like I said, Bizarro shows up in the midst of their relationship, and it just creates a very awkward shift in their relationship. And I'm thinking, okay, now this has gone a little bit too far. It needs to end. So more or less, it kind of does. So she says goodbye to him for the 50th, 60th time. At this point, she definitely knows that he has superpowers, and I kind of wish that they would have ended it the same way they kind of ended Clark and Chloe's love relationship, if they even had a love relationship. I mean, Chloe decided not to pursue Clark any further because after she found out that he had superpowers, she believed that he is more or less destined for bigger things other than just being with somebody, which is more or less how they ended the relationship between Clark and Lana. I just you didn't have to repeat the very same thing. You just I don't know, the relationship just had to end sooner than later, and they said goodbye so many times that at this point, I don't know if it's even a forever goodbye. But guys, that's my thoughts on Season 7. Yeah, it's not one of my favorites. It's definitely a major step down from what Season 5 and Season 6 were. But, hey, we gotta do what we gotta do, especially with what the studio had to deal with at the time. But, Season 7, whatever you thought, comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.